Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little different and a lot of fun. I am taking this old, outdated dresser and turning it into a beautiful custom dry bar for a customer. They let me record the process, so I'm going to bring y'all along with me and show you how I completed it from start to finish. Brandon and Aaron were ready to update this dresser. It was Aaron's grandfather's, so it's for sure a special piece. I'm assessing it right now for sturdiness and making my game plan. Aaron did send over this picture for inspiration, but told me she wanted a wine glass rack instead of a wine bottle holder. I did remove the casters off of this to make it a stationary piece, and now I'm going to cut apart the frame so we can create the shell. I used my jigsaw and cut through the frame that held the drawers on, and then gently wiggled out the tracks that the drawers slid on. These all came out super easy, so I did not have any problems. Next up, we are going to cut some pieces to form a shell on the inside of this frame. I've got the ledge down here, and then the ledge right up here that can frame out nice walls, and we will put a backer on and create a bottom. I'm using a soft tape measure to measure the inside of this shell. I had some leftover wood from a previous project I did, a different furniture upcycle. I can link that video right here above, but I'm going to measure out this wood into the correct size, and then I will use a saw to get it all cut down. And remember, anytime you're using power tools, make sure you're using your protective equipment and know what you're doing when handling the equipment. This is probably not the best saw for this job, but this is the best saw that I have for the job. So I took my time and got a good straight cut as long as I went nice and slow. I measured and cut each piece one by one to make sure I was cutting them the correct size. I'll be honest, y'all, I've never done this before. It's the first time, but it's going well. So far, so good. Now, if you are new and you love these kind of furniture makeovers and thrift flips, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell next to it so you don't miss any upcycles by Bri. Now that I'm positive everything is cut the correct size, I'm going to secure it into place. I'm using Titebond glue to secure my new shell onto the old frame of this dresser. I stood the dresser up to finish assembling the shell to make sure there was no shifting while I assembled it. I was afraid if I assembled the whole thing laying down and then stood it up, there might be some problems. Used some strong clamps to hold the top in place while I slid in the supporting sidewalls. These clamps are great to have for all kinds of projects. I'll link something similar down in my Amazon links below. If you're wondering why my glue pattern looks all squiggly, not only is it fun, but it also helps the glue from running down as fast while you're working with it. I should probably order a few more large clamps. I didn't have quite enough, so I just did use painter's tape there on the side, but all four walls of the new shell of this dry bar are inside. I'm going to walk away and let it all dry overnight. The next morning, it's time to sand down this top. I am using a TSP cleaner for heavy duty cleaning. If I didn't clean it before I sanded it, I would risk grinding all of the grit and grime down into the wood grain, which we do not want. The stain and any top coat remaining on this piece was very dry and old, so I actually started with a 120 grit sandpaper and worked my way up to a 400 grit. It came off fairly easily. I'm just using an orbital sander and letting the sander do all of the work. Erin wanted to keep the drawer front wood as well, which I thought was a beautiful choice. I repeated the same sanding steps on the drawer, and I also gave the whole drawer a coat of stain and refreshed the inside and out. I wanted a little extra security down here at the bottom, so I am putting a 1x on and securing it with some basic metal brackets. I'm using that same Titebond glue. I will glue this into place and screw on the brackets. I have two little L brackets and a T bracket holding everything into place. And now if they want to put bottles here, they can do so without any worry. I grabbed my Durham's water putty. I mixed the powder up with the water, and this is going to form a wood putty that dries rock hard. I'm going to apply it to the seams of the shell, and then there were a couple little dings along the body of this piece. I used it on as well. This is going to provide a nice seamless finish. We've got the bottom of that all reinforced, so it will be able to hold bottles or whatever. And I've got all of the cracks and crevices patched up with Durham's water putty, and we will let that dry overnight. Gonna call it a night. The next morning, when I knew everything was dry, I came in with my pneumatic nail gun and secured everything into place. So I've got everything glued in, then I puttied all the cracks, and now I'm doing the final securing with the nail gun. And more sanding. I've got a little corner sander here with 220 grit sandpaper. We are going to sand down all of this Durham's water putty nice and smooth. Vacuum out all the sanding dust, and then we're going to seal all of this wood up with a couple of coats of Zinsser shellac. This is going to prevent any bleed through and close up that wood grain before I paint. Be sure you're wearing your protective equipment and using this in a well-ventilated area, as it is quite smelly. While the shellac dries, it is time to get some stain on this wood. I am using Minwax Special Walnut. I ended up doing 2 coats, following the directions on the can for dry time. It really brought out the beautiful wood grain, and the tone is going to match the customer's house just perfectly. She has a buffet that is this nice warm wood color, and it will match the trim in their house as well. After the 2 coats of stain were dry, I am taking this outside to spray it. Now I am protecting the wood top here so I don't get paint on it, but I have not sealed it yet. I am using DIY paint in the color Beadboard. This is a great true white, and I am spraying it today in an HVLP sprayer. The paint and products I'm using you can find over on my website, upcycledbybri.com, and if you want to check out more videos about detailed spraying, I will link one here for you in a card above. For 1 coat of paint, I noticed I had some bleed through here on the side. I did not prime the sides with any shellac, so now I'm just going to go through and spot treat the bleed through. That's when the wood tannins seep through the paint. It happens a lot, and you can see it especially with white paint. So I will spray a couple of coats of shellac over these stains, let it dry completely, and then paint on coat number 2. After 2 coats, I had full coverage. I let that dry for several hours. Now I am removing the plastic protective wrap off the top, and you can see how beautiful the combination of the wood and the white turned out. Now I'm going to spray a top coat. I'm using Sweet Pickins top coat for an ultra matte finish, and I'm going to go over the paint and the wood. I ended up giving it 4 coats using a crosshatch pattern. So I sprayed horizontal and then vertical. After 4 coats of top coat, here is the result. I chose to distress after I sealed this piece so I wouldn't have any more bleed through problems. If I would have distressed and then sealed, I would have risked pulling those wood tannins back up where I exposed the wood. I did a little distressing and Erin said give it some more, which you know I don't mind. We gave a nice distress to the entire piece, then it was time to install the wine glass holder. I ordered this off of Amazon and it got the same white paint treatment as the rest. For a final little touch, I decided to use some of this extra scrap wood I had laying around and build a little rustic riser. It was perfect for staging the photos, but I thought it would be a nice touch to add some height and extra space inside of the piece for bottle storage. I gave it the same Minwax special walnut stain. I did 2 coats here as well. And here is a look at the final result. I do love the way this turned out. Like I said, first time ever making one. What do y'all think? Leave me a comment below. Let me know how you think this turned out and if you think you could use a dry bar in your home. If you are local, feel free to email me at upcycledbybri@hotmail.com if you are interested in your very own dry bar. Now, don't forget, if you are new, you can find all the paint and products over on my website, upcycledbybri.com, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. I will be back on Thursday with an amazing thrift haul and a thrift flip video. So until next time, I will see y'all later. Bye, friends. Test, test, test. It's so bright. Can you do it without wrinkling? Test.
Simple little car thing they used. Just proud. I guess the car made some sort of a noise or whatever, and she didn't. So.